Hi, we will continue our lecture on unpaid work. Uh, so, uh, we had gone mostly through the Benaria article, um, but here we will see some critiques to the uh, I mean, to this type of uh, to this type of work done. Before doing that, actually, I mean maybe uh, put uh, well some uh, one argument, bring also one argument from the Fowler article, which basically says the uh, the household time measurement method might be important to understand the full picture. And there, basically, one example given by Fowler is um, if you have two families, both of them with both parents working and earning $10,000 per year, and but don't have enough time to work at home, while another family where one parent is working for $20,000 per year, while other is working full time at home. The second family is more wealthy because of the household production initially produced at home, and accounting unpaid work is will show this fact basically. She talk about this. Um, and I've also wrote. I've also talked on some defenses, uh, basically, of Beneria to the critics in the coming part when I'm talking about critics. Um, well, for the feminist school, the main critique was it is a useless effort. Why useless effort? Because the idea is uh, the main purpose of the feminist school should be to promote the woman to work in the market. So excessive valuation of the uh, household work may actually have the opposite effect. Um, may encourage women to stay at home. So in that sense, the accounting project for the unpaid work, is something that is running against the interest of the woman, according to this view. And feminist school, so it doesn't have any favorable use. The counter critique to that is actually, well, that might be your effort. However, um, that might be the effort of the feminist school or feminists. However, in order to understand the current situation, in order to understand what women are currently doing, their current burden, the data information is necessary. And that information can only be provided if you make that unaccounted work visible, make it tangible, make it something that can be measured and understood. That's why, without making it visible, it's impossible to talk on it, or you can only talk on abstract thing without knowing its extent or its intensity. Uh, that's one critique and one answer. The answer of the critique. The second critique is importance of the difference, and here it is told that well, the non-market work done at home is different from market work. It has emotions in it. It provides something additional than the market. As I said before, is motherhood something that could be provided by the market? Is it possible to divide motherhood into different segments which are can be provided by the market? But on the other hand, what is the motherhood? You might also ask. If I am working for 10 hours per day and then uh, outside my home, my children can only see me for an hour. Am I giving them motherhood? Maybe I am giving them motherhood. I mean, if I were mother, as a male, I might give them fatherhood in that sense. Am I able to give them fatherhood in that 1 hour? Uh, so, if not, well, there are certain actions that are actually giving that fatherhood to those to my children. Um, but then, is there something else going on? Something that cannot be provided by the market, and in that case, how can we find values uh, to measure monetary value of something that cannot be provided by the market? And also, the relations within the household are not um, the same as the relations in the market. So, to what extent it is useful to use the market valuation techniques in the household, uh, where uh, you can actually, uh, in order to put values on the products that are produced inside of the households. Of course, here the difference is the market is one unique thing which is now spread to almost whole globe. The families are small and they have gotten even smaller, and each of them might have their unique value and organization structure. We can talk about the common stereotype family structure, but we might still ask to what extent it's working, and then how can we value products that are produced within the households. But then, uh, if you don't produce households inside, you produce the similar households also outside. So, outside economy and what is being produced in the household, including the services like childcare, are connected to each other. Um, so, if I, instead of producing this chair on which I am sitting at, or I don't know, this plant at home, instead I buy that plant and pay money for that. Same plant is produced, same plant is consumed by me. Is the society more wealthy? That's the other question. Uh, so finding or understanding uh, market value of everything produced at home might, in that sense, maybe be useful for us to understand the greater production done in the whole society. So production of the society is something goes beyond the market, that goes inside of the households, and it has maybe some also other aspects of it. That's certainly right, but I am still personally, of course, that's not the article. Personally, I'm still a little bit not 100% convinced by the Ben area. So maybe if you want to measure the production that goes beyond the market, you should have something else to measure that production, not price. Maybe because price is strictly a measurement of market products. So something that is common in overall production sphere of the society. What can it be? Well, we should discuss this. This is a broader discussion, basically. However, putting market values, putting prices is, well, a project which is being done. And many people are impressed by this project and basically want to contribute to it. So I want to certainly introduce you that. And, well, they have a point in when they argue prices are mostly common measurement sticks in the society. So maybe we should turn our measurements into that sticks, similar to them. To, well, my professor was in the environmental science. Whenever you need to get attention of the people, you put a security into it, like water security, which is actually talking about the water scarcity in the society. But when you say security, I mean army, defense, things like that. People suddenly get their attention. So maybe the language might be, you might try to use the language that takes attention of the people, but language might also frame your discussion. So that's a discussion that could go on and on. So for the neoclassical school critics, one thing is actually says a feminist Marxist feminist project that is actually taking the labor value into account and basically putting female women's problems into the front. Well, maybe not Marxist. Marx. I'm also teaching Marxist economics, and Marxist agenda is basically putting the workers' problems or workers' perspective into maybe account. Although Marx himself is putting capital a lot to the front. Maybe, in my opinion, maybe not workers too much into the front. So this contradiction between the capital and workers is the main at the center. And feminists criticize Marx, as we have seen, by not putting the economic relations beyond this capital worker contradiction into their framework. And they said maybe you cannot do everything at once. Also, of course. And then this is the one critique. And then the other critique is, well, if something doesn't have monetary value, how can you monetize it? This is a lost cause. This is not something that makes sense according to the critique. Well, even in neoclassical economics, there are satellites account. There are attempts to monetize things that don't have monetary value. In welfare economics, this is done a lot. In microeconomics, this is done a lot to give utility a form of money, a value of money. And there are satellite accounts that put non-monetized elements of the production into the accounts, which are called satellite accounts, by the way. I mean, you have one account where you are summarizing, you include all the market work, and then you have another account which includes also non-market production into the account. So basically, this is not something. Yes, there are some problems with including those things into the production measurement indicators. However, this was done. This is done with all its problems. It is done also by the neoclassical economists. It's something also Beneria is arguing, and I think she's perfectly right. Secondly, she also says that well, Marxian economics also agrees with the neoclassical economics that the value is created through the exchange process. Yes, she's right. She's right. Well, in Marxian economics, I'm glad none of you listening this is probably feminist. I'm Marxist. I mean, primarily Marxist. I consider myself Marxist. Feminist interests are for me relevant, interesting, but I think Marxist economics is actually getting the core of the economic system. Well, in Marxian economics, yes, value is created in the inside of the exchange process. So the markets are creating value in a sense. And some people even argue the state services that are produced by the state workers and given freely to the people don't have any value because they are not sold and for money in the market, which is interesting because I mean those people are working as much as the private sector workers, and they produce similar products, but one product is given freely, the other by the state, non-profit making company, the other one is given by a private company, and money is earned, and that money is basically also could create profits for the company. Well, the state group which gives their products freely is considered as non-productive. Well, this is a big discussion in Marxian economics to be examined. What's productive, what's not productive, and something that is not sold for the money is considered by most Marxists unproductive. And yes, according to feminists, this is something else. This is something different from Marxian approach. Of course, serves an agenda, but that agenda is useful to understand the full economics, basically, according to them. So that's their answer. So this is the end of this part. In next part, I will go to the